Well, Kharkiv is one of the worst affected cities in Ukraine. Let's now join MGN's Iqbal Himawan, who is coming to us live from Ukraine for the latest updates on how the locals are surviving the ongoing war there. Iqbal, thank you so much for joining us. So, as we know, of course, war is tragic and almost puts life at a standstill. But how is it war over there affecting the education system in Ukraine?
Krishna, education became one of the most affected sector after the war began since the February 24th, 2023. Excuse me, I'm having a feedback. And I will tell you about, before that, we're going to talk about the visit from the Canadian top diplomat Melanie Joly yesterday. Melanie Joly met Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky in the Ukrainian capital Kyiv yesterday. Zelensky thanked Canada for its warm attitude to Ukrainians and also power assistance to the nation. And after the meeting, both sides said that they discussed the further cooperation in defense and security, as well as the needs of Ukraine's armed forces, especially on the weaponry. And also, let's go back to the education. During our coverage, me and my colleagues, Levi Wardana, visited some schools that located around the city center of Kyiv. One thing is they do not want to specifically mention the number of the building or the exact location of the schools because they are still afraid or traumatized with the shellings and the missiles that hit the city since the first invasion on February 24th. And talk about the elementary school. We visited some elementary schools, and one of them is we met with the headmistress and also with the teachers. Said they missed the kids, they missed the children running around in corridors, in the canteens, and also in the sports hall. The teachers are now they become daily routine is preparing all the materials for the children to conduct study online with the kids, but it's not the same, especially for the children or kids that still under the age of the elementary school, because they have to use an educational tools and it's hard to do it online. And even one of the teacher tells a story to us about how she missed the children while keeping the personal belongings of one of her favorite children and cannot wait the war to be over. And talk about the data, there are 374 foreign students and mostly study in the Kharkiv Medical University. The medical study is become one of the most challenging major because some of the countries where the foreign students come, they do not accept the online study system. So the foreign students have to go back to their country and stop their study in Kharkiv and have to start from the scratch for the medical studies. And also there are 22 education institutions that got destroyed ever since the invasion. It's equally 95.7% of total Kharkiv's educational institute. And up until now, people are still having less hope of during the invasion when will they can go back to schools and meet with their colleagues or the teachers and having a normal study times back to before the invasion, Krishna.
Right. And of course, you were speaking there about some online options, but of course, that is not the same. And of course, being under the threat of war, the psychological impact on the students as well, it must be very difficult. But of course, another thing I want to ask you about is daily needs as well, from food and everything else. How are residents there fulfilling their daily needs, and is it challenging?
The first challenge is the income of the residents of the Kharkiv. It obviously decreased after the invasion because a lot of factories have to cope with the with the shellings, with the missiles. So the average income of the Kharkiv people is reduced, and after that, because of the curfews from 23 to the 5 a.m. in the morning, the shops are closed earlier, so they need to buy the daily needs usually before dark, because all the street lights are off. There's only traffic lights is because they have to adjust with the rare electricity supplies after the power plant got bombed or got hit by missiles. So there we've met with some volunteers that come from all around Kharkiv, and they come from different backgrounds, and they asked us to look into the storage, and the storage were located in the bunker. At first, we never thought that it's a storage because it looks like a Soviet era bunker. But after we come down, there are a lot of daily supplies. For example, there were foods in a can that can last for days if there's an air raid alert. And then there's also supplies for children's and baby cares. And also there are some clothes and medical supplies. They come from a different background, and they gave us just a little hints that even though they have the ability, they're still hoping that the war will end soon. Krishna.
Okay, Iqbal, Himawan, MGN journalist coming to us live from Ukraine. Thank you so much for your report, and please stay safe.